How do you fight back against a sinister Orwellian government that seeks to impose huge and seemingly unstoppable numbers of migrants into your local communities, your towns and your cities, rendering them, in many cases, virtually unrecognisable? This is the situation facing not only Britain but many European cities. This is a scene from London where, for better or worse, the streets support high levels of immigrant cultures due to years of legal and illegal immigration and an unwillingness for certain cultures to integrate into traditional British culture. And I suspect it will be the situation here before too long, with the Albanese government bringing record numbers of people in from non-Western cultures. Sadly and predictably, there are increasing examples online of British people having, shall we say, unpleasant experiences with the explosion of recent illegal immigrants. A man exposing himself was turfed off a Hammersmith tube a couple of days ago by horrified passengers. There are many such alarming stories. Yet the reaction from the British authorities seems to be to go after the victims and to silence the victims rather than apprehend or caution the perpetrators. It's a rather sinister inversion of our basic understanding of how the law should work. Two random recent examples. The first is a woman who was spat on in public by an individual. We don't get to see him, but let's assume, rightly or wrongly, that her description of him is accurate. He was a migrant and he was unwashed or in some other way unhygienic looking to her. Have a listen to this bizarre exchange, and remember, I'm giving the woman the benefit of the doubt that her use of the word filthy in this instance is accurately descriptive rather than simply pejorative.
So you have a problem with my words?
Yes.
Because a filthy migrant just spat on me?
Yeah, that is.
And you've got the issue with me?
We have the opportunity to challenge that language, yeah, because we're police officers and it's...
Because he's filthy and he's a migrant and he attacked me like the other one.
We're trying to help you report
which is offensive, isn't it?
We can't not challenge that language because...
There's people in the public...
Okay, what's your numbers? What? And that's an issue? Since when is swearing a crime?
We have spoken to you with respect too. Like
and you're in public where there's people, kids
like
too far away.
Just doing our job.
People can hear that.
Well, I'm not interested in the PC lecture.
So the police, all three of them, waste taxpayers' money and are more concerned with policing this woman's language than actually tackling the alleged criminal. Here's another example.
Are you going to arrest me?
Yes, you're under arrest.
If you were can you take...
No, you can't arrest her.
You give my details then. I've got my...
You can't arrest her for what? She hasn't done anything. I've got it all on camera. I've got it all on camera. Jokers.
Let me get my baby to my...
You've got a baby with her as well.
Now, again, we weren't there, so there may be some context I'm not familiar with, but my understanding is that this woman was reacting to a group of pro-Palestinian protesters. Oh, wow. More of them. In her high street, when she was out with her baby in a stroller. But again, the police were only interested in policing her language, or so it appears. No concern for the toddler in the pram, for instance, or for what the protesters had been chanting or doing that provoked her. But all of this, what is now called two-tier policing in Britain, because it seems there is one set of laws for native Brits and a far more lenient set of laws for new arrivals or irregular immigrants or whatever the latest ridiculous euphemism is. Many traditional working-class Brits have had enough.
And what do you say to Keir Starmer and the Labour government?
He's ruined this country. Ruined this country. Nobody in England likes Keir Starmer.
But for other Brits, the whole thing is a right-wing beat-up and there's no problem with the numbers arriving, such as this progressive and well-heeled young lady who happens to be a migration policy specialist who believes passionately in open borders.
Grand total of all the people who've ever come to the UK in a small boat is 136,350, right? And we have a population of nearly 67 million people. That is 0.2% of the population. None of us are really affected by it. So that means they've spent all the parliamentary time, all of the political energy and capital that they have, and a hell of a lot of money on trying and failing to stop it. And because it suits them for morons like you to believe that this is actually our problem rather than rich people hoarding the resources, politicians like Farage have made their careers out of peddling hate, and that affects me too.
So you're a moron if it's a problem to you? Perhaps. But the changes are most felt, obviously, in working class areas where the only outlet is to retreat into traditional patriotism and nationalism. Over recent years, displays of the flag of St George, the English part of the Union Jack, have become far more prominent throughout parts of England's poorer council estates or more rural areas. The UK Telegraph, for example, ran a story this week, quote, "How the debate about Islam in Britain is playing out in planning rows over mosques." The story highlighted, quote, "A planned mosque in a Cumbrian town has sparked local unease, revealing deeper tensions over faith, identity and change in modern Britain," and went on to say, quote, "It's hard to escape the conclusion that these rows over bricks and mortar are fast becoming a proxy for debate about the growth of Islam and the expansion of multiculturalism in modern Britain." This so-called expansion in multiculturalism hasn't gone down well with many non-woke Brits. And this British summer has seen a dramatic increase in demonstrations against migrant intakes. This one last week in Manchester was a so-called re-migration protest organised by the fringe Britain First party. Elsewhere across Britain this summer, the mood is clearly shifting away from the passive acceptance of politically correct left-wing multiculturalism to a yearning for a more traditional Britain. But this woman explains how multiculturalism is promoted and resistance thwarted by left-wing councils.
Sanctuary has become the new trendy term when talking about asylum seekers, illegal migrants. They're now referred to as sanctuary seekers by a lot of Labour councils. Many of them are becoming boroughs of sanctuary.
Then there are attacks by Islamist activists such as this on Christian free speech at Hyde Park's famous Speaker's Corner. And at the same time, we learn that British customs staff, this is unbelievable, have been made to attend seminars about the guilt of being British. Unbelievable. Meanwhile, in Spain, the town of Humila in the Murcia region has banned Muslim Islamic festivals because of recent community resistance. Nigel Farage, who is increasingly looking like being the next occupant of number 10 Downing Street, is aware of the anger in many communities and is also pushing the idea of deportations.
I'm sorry, I've had enough of this. If you come from Afghanistan, you go back to Afghanistan. End of.
There are apparently up to 20 anti-immigration marches planned across the UK this coming weekend. Many Brits do appear to be at the end of their tether. Of course, a rollicking sense of the absurd and satirical humour has been one of the many gifts bestowed upon us by the British, so it's been no surprise that the more the authorities try to crush online opposition, especially with Britain's insidious Online Safety Act, which has just come into force and will be coming into force in Australia as well very soon, unless we do something to stop it, some Brits use their humour to fight back. I did have to laugh at this satirical sketch about, well, immigration and integration.
We don't need borders, we need healing spaces. After a few yoga classes, they'll stop harassing young girls, I promise.
We've launched a community art project where local school children write apology letters to the migrants for being British.
But I guess that sort of humour and satire will disappear in not only Britain but also here in Australia, where the Albanese government are set to bring in the most draconian and terrifying social media restriction policies in the world unless we, the people, refuse to allow them. There are petitions online, including this one by the Free Speech Union of Australia. I urge you to check that out. And there is a protest rally planned for Piermont Park in Sydney on September 13th at 1 p.m. I guess free speech isn't important enough the authorities to warrant the Harbour Bridge. But I recommend everybody speak up now because soon it could well be too late. And finally, I think Peter Harcher may well be right. The only person who could possibly save Australia's free speech is Donald Trump.
Anybody in the Australian government who's got any involvement with the policy to ban, for example, kids under 16 from social media would earn a visa ban from the US. Who knows, maybe including the Prime Minister himself, since it's his policy.
One can only hope Peter is correct when it comes to Australian free speech. Use it or lose it.